Good morning, it's 9 o'clock and welcome to Michigan Virtual's webinar entitled Career Readiness in Computer Programming and Networking and Cybersecurity. In our webinar today, we have two representatives from the Pinckney Cyber Training Institute that will share how they provide students in Livingston County with cybersecurity courses, cyber exercises, and product testing using the Michigan Cyber Range. We will also share how the partnership between Michigan Virtual and Pinckney Community Schools can provide this learning opportunity to students across Michigan and beyond. My name is Thomas Soria and I'm Director of School Partnerships. This is my 10th year at Michigan Virtual and I'm a graduate of Michigan State University and the College of Education. My role is supporting K-12 students, staff, administrators with technology-based tools and distance learning opportunities. So some housekeeping things before we get started. And by default, your microphones will be on mute. And if you'd like to ask questions, please type in the chat box and we will address those questions at the end of the session or at a time that we find a pause that's appropriate. The chat option is at the bottom of the Zoom webinar screen. And to chat, simply click on the icon and begin typing. We will monitor the window chat during the presentation and respond to your questions when we have a pause or a break. If you'd like to verbally express your question, please raise your hand using the feature at the bottom of the Zoom link. And our manager, Nicole, here will help provide you the opportunity to speak by unmuting your microphone. Also, this meeting is being recorded and you'll have a copy of it at the conclusion of it and you'll receive that through email. And this will give you the opportunity to share that information with any colleagues or other staff members that are interested in learning about these programs. Before we get started, I'd like to share a little background about Michigan Virtual. Michigan Virtual was established in 1998 as a nonprofit 501c3 organization. And our mission is advancing K-12 digital learning and technology through research, practice, and partnership. We work in partnership with Michigan schools, districts, ISDs, and the Department of Education, along with various educational organizations to collaborate and positively affect change in Michigan education. Michigan Virtual delivers over 200 online classes for students in grades 6 through 12, and we offer 23 AP courses, 7 world languages, and 24 credit recovery titles. Michigan Virtual delivers professional development courses for teachers and administrators, offering over 300 course titles from compliance to character education. Most courses have sketch credits available and many are offered at no cost. In 2012, the Michigan Virtual Learning Research Institute was formed to expand Michigan's capacity to support new learning models, engage in active research to inform new policies in online and blended learning. And if you'd like more information, please visit mvlri.org to find free resources to support your learning programs. So I'd like to share our purpose and outcomes for today's session. And we're gonna talk about learning option and courses for high school and middle school students in computer programming, networking, and cybersecurity. And we'd like to provide some information about our current state of the offerings that we have today, as well as future opportunities coming in the coming school years. We're going to discuss the need for training and workforce development in cybersecurity, and our partners from Pinckney Cyber Training Institute are going to talk about that great need and the career opportunities that are available, as well as the salary ranges. And we're going to understand the enrollment process for middle and high school students if you'd like to have students engage in these courses. So this past summer, I was asked, what motivates you to work for Michigan Virtual? And after 9 years, I paused for a moment and said, to create equal learning opportunities and access for all students throughout the state of Michigan, regardless of zip code or what county you live in. So when I took a call from my friend and partner, Dr. Jim Darga, and he shared that the work he's done at Pinckney Cyber Training Institute, we collectively saw an opportunity to create access for students throughout Michigan. Although I have no background in cybersecurity or networking, you only need to follow the news locally or nationally to hear about data breaches or hacking that have harmed families' credit lines, corporate finances, or frozen services at municipals, organizations across the nation. And when Dr. Darga shared the opportunity for careers by earning industry certifications through a sequence of high school online courses and assessments, Michigan Virtual was happy to engage in this partnership. So with that, I'd like to introduce my partners, Dr. Jim Darga. He came to Pinckney Cyber Training Institute with over 35 years of experience in education, including 22 as a high school principal at Pinckney High School. In 2016, Dr. Darga was tapped to serve as director of the newly formed Pinckney Cyber Training Institute. He was heading into a new territory, overseeing a program dedicated to providing cybersecurity training for students as well as regional business and IT professionals. Pinckney's Cyber Hub is part of the Michigan Cyber Range, with locations around the state and providing a wide spectrum of cybersecurity education. Hello, Dr. Darga. Next, I'd like to introduce Richard Lamb. Rich is the coordinator of the cyber operations at Pinckney Cyber Training Institute. His responsibilities include the implementation and management of virtual services, policies, and programs offered by PCTI. Rich began working in the Pinckney Community High School Cisco Academy, teaching computer hardware, computer networking, and operating systems courses. In 2010, he was the original facilitator of the Pinckney New Technology High School and led his cohorts in the development of unique mathematics courses and facilitated direct credit opportunities for students with Clara University. Rich holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Mathematics and Political Science from Central Michigan, as well as a Master's in Mathematics from Eastern Michigan. In addition, he currently holds the Cisco Certification Entry Network Technician Cert, Cisco Certified Academy Instructor, and Mile 2 Certified Penetration Testing Engineer certifications. Lots of credentials. Thanks for joining us today, Rich.
Thank you for having me.
So with that, I'm going to pause sharing my screen as I'm going to hand it over to my partners that are in Pinckney from Pinckney Community Schools and Pinckney Cyber Training Institute.
Well, thank you very much, Thomas, for having us this morning. As you alluded to, Pinckney Community Schools, and particularly Pinckney Community High School, we take great pride in creating innovative learning opportunities for our students, not just at Pinckney High School, but throughout the county, Livingston County. For many, many years, Pinckney Community High School was known for our outstanding robotics program, which we started in the late 80s, and by the mid 90s, late 90s, we were just an extraordinary robotics program. When we would compete at the Society of Manufacturing Engineers competition, there really wasn't any university that could compete with our high school. And over the years, many of the universities have caught up, so we're very proud of that. And we continue to develop innovative programs, and the one that has received the most attention recently is our cybersecurity program. And what happened, the history behind this is very quite interesting because, with the public school system, families, they transfer in, transfer out, depending on the needs of the families. And we had a family come in many years ago, and the gentleman, the dad, him and his family, they purchased a buffalo ranch just west of our school district in the town of Hell. In fact, the town of Hell is the westernmost section of our school district. And so he bought the buffalo ranch, and he ended up purchasing a couple of businesses in our community, ends up on our school board, and we got to know him better. And what we came to realize that he was a very high level executive with Cisco networking. And through conversations, we started to talk about an opportunity that we were going to have to create a Cisco networking academy, which we didn't have any knowledge about, but we listened and we did research, and we did start our Cisco Networking Academy in 2001. And since then, we've trained over 1,500 students. It's been a very successful program. We started at a very small scale. We expanded it to all Livingston County students, and we even received some students outside of the Livingston County boundaries. And it's an exceptional program because we not only have the high school level courses, but we have our articulation agreement and an early middle college agreement with Washtenaw Community College. So our students can defer their high school diploma year and actually earn their associate's degree after 13 years. We have a dual enrollment program with Eastern Michigan University, which is a Center for Excellence in Cybersecurity. That major is in information assurance. So if the students want to earn those direct credits, they can go there and they can be out in a bachelor's degree in 3 years. So, we've worked really hard on creating those great learning opportunities for our students, and it has served them quite well. And Rich is going to talk a little bit about specifics on the curriculum.
Yeah, so how our students come into our program, it's a 2-year program that we have for all students within the county here in Livingston County, as Dr. Darga mentioned. And they come in for a 2-hour block both years. We have a morning block and an afternoon block. And we start all of our students with a good foundation of how to build a computer network. We believe that having that foundation of understanding how networks work allow you to layer on things such as security or cyber operations or advanced networking options. So the first year of our program, students study for what's called the CCNA, Cisco Certified Entry Network Technician certification, and they take 2 foundational courses, an Introduction to Networks course and a Routing and Switching Essentials course. Essentially, those courses teach them how to build a network that would be within, say, a school building or an office building. From there, we give them 2 different options. If they want to continue on the networking path, they can take this course is called Scaling Networks and Connecting Networks, which leads them to the Cisco CCNA Routing and Switching certification. Essentially, that is how do you take an entire campus, say a college campus, and create a network that spans over all of those buildings. Another option that our students have in their second year, if they choose not to go down the routing and switching path, is they can take a CCNA security course, which is all about, as it says, security, learning firewall rules, and implementing pretty advanced security measures onto the school network, or I should say the campus network. And on top of that, they can also take a course called CCNA Cyber Operations, which is basically incident handling. You would work at a security operations center. That course prepares them to be a level 1 security operations center analyst. The interesting thing about these courses is students can come out of our program with 2 or 3, or sometimes if we have students for a 3rd year, we do occasionally have students that start our program as sophomores, they can come out with 4 different internationally industry recognized certifications. I'm going to turn this back over to Dr. Darga now because we're running our program here in Livingston County, and then in 2015, things sort of changed, and Dr. Darga will talk about that.
Yeah, 2015 was a pretty exciting time for Pinckney Community High School. I always say that if a principal can boast about their school being in the top 10 in the nation in anything, that's something that they should really get out to the news media. And in the spring of 2015, Pinckney Community High School was #1 in the nation in robotics, #1 in the nation in mechatronics, #1 in mobile app development, #4 network administration. But the competition that really gathered the most attention for us was the Cyber Patriot program, which was sponsored by the U.S. Air Force. And Pinckney Community High School, we ended up being 9th in the nation, and that really got a lot of attention for us. So shortly thereafter, we had several different state agencies connect with us to start talking about whether we would like to expand beyond our defined role as a high school. And we really weren't quite sure what that meant at the time, but we did listen and we did our research, and we were asked to apply for a Department of Defense Office of Economic Adjustment grant. And we were awarded that grant May of 16. And that grant was also supported by Michigan Works and Michigan Economic Development Corporation and the Workforce Intelligence Network. So we had some very strong partners going into this. And so we built the Pinckney Cyber Training Institute, which is now part of the Michigan Cyber Range. And we opened on December 7th, 2016. And this was all part of a bigger picture, which was Governor Schneider's Michigan Cyber Initiative. Part of that initiative, there were several pieces that were pretty critical to the state of Michigan in terms of cybersecurity preparedness. The Michigan State Police, they established a Cyber Command Center. A volunteer cyber corps was created with IT professionals that if there's a major infrastructure breach, these IT professionals would jump to the cause and help mitigate the issue. And it also was the expansion of the Michigan Cyber Range. So Wayne State University and Pinckney Community Schools, we were awarded the grant in May of 16. And since then, it's been a really exciting journey, because not only have we continued to build the programs for our high school students, we started looking at other populations. So we've developed a program for people with disabilities called our Michigan Cybersecurity Career Inclusion Initiative. We're building a program for veterans. In fact, we're engaged with several partners, very high-level partners. We're hoping to create a satellite campus at Selfridge Air National Guard Base. And we also offer over 20 Department of Defense approved credential training programs for IT professionals or people that want to go into the profession of cybersecurity. So with all that attention, we ended up having many phone calls and emails requesting tours of our operation. And of course, we were very accommodating with those requests, and we would have different school districts or intermediate school districts come in, and we would show them a tour of our physical facility, which is very impressive. We've got some robust cybersecurity labs. We've got telepresence equipment and the latest telepresence equipment. And it's very impressive. We got human resources that are also in high demand that we have here at our high school. So when different schools would come through and they would view what we have and they wanted to replicate that, you could see that there was a frustration that, yes, we're very impressed with what you have, but they couldn't see a way how they could bring that back into their local school districts. So in fall of 18, we created a partnership with Anchor Bay Schools, and they had a cybersecurity program that needed some support. So we took it upon ourselves. Rich Lamb did a great job of developing some courses that would support the needs of their students in terms of cybersecurity, and it went extremely well. The feedback was outstanding. We felt really good about what we accomplished there in that partnership. But then we started to think to ourselves, okay, that's great. We helped the Anchor Bay schools out, but there's over 700 high schools in the state of Michigan. How can we take it to the next level? And that's when we connected with Michigan Virtual, and we laid the groundwork for what's been a very successful partnership at this point. And Rich is going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so as Dr. Darga said, we formed a partnership with Michigan Virtual to offer networking and cybersecurity courses throughout the state of Michigan. And the reason we wanted to work with Michigan Virtual is because we wanted to leverage their strengths along with our strengths. And so the partnership has really done that. And so we wanted to work with Michigan Virtual because they're already well established in the state of Michigan. They have their course registration system, their student learning portal. They have a well-established, well-recognized learning management system, and they have the ability to track and manage student progress as well as take care of some of the things that we didn't have the capacity to. And so, and then as I said earlier, they're a well-established partner in the state of Michigan, and people are familiar with them. And so those are the strengths that Michigan Virtual could help us with. And where we're strong, though, is we're strong with course build-out and student-friendly setup. As Dr. Darga said, we've been a Cisco Networking Academy since 2001. And so we wanted to leverage our strengths, which are taking these courses that we teach to our Livingston County students and build them out so that they're in a student-friendly setup for online learning. And that's actually what we did with Anchor Bay. The Anchor Bay pilot was an asynchronous course, and we wanted to expand that capability to all students around the state of Michigan. As Dr. Darga also said, we're very blessed that we have various instructors here that have taught these courses. We have some that have moved on to the community college level. We also have various instructors, some with as many as 24 years experience and various different industry recognized certifications. And so those were our strengths. And then we also wanted to partner as a Cisco Networking Academy because Cisco, they have this online portal, which is we call it NetAcad. It's essentially where they house their official Cisco curriculum. And they also have wonderful access to different simulators that can be used for students who don't have access to the physical equipment. And Cisco is a recognized leader in the networking industry. They currently hold something like 60 to 70% of the marketplace. And so we wanted to take each of these three organizations and coordinate them to offer these courses to students from around, students around the state of Michigan. And so what we've come up with is we've come up with 6 courses that we're currently offering through Michigan Virtual to students around the state of Michigan. And we've kind of chosen 2 learning pathways. The first learning pathway is what we call a networking pathway with 3 courses, the Networking and Cybersecurity Essentials, and then 2 Cisco routing and switching courses, which lead to an actual certification. But we also wanted to offer more than that for students who were interested in other areas. And so we currently offer 3 different Linux courses through Michigan Virtual. And so I just want to kind of highlight some of the features of each of those. So our first learning pathway is our networking focused pathway. And there are 3 courses that are involved in those, as I mentioned. There's Networking and Cybersecurity Essentials. There's Cisco Certified Network Associate 1, which we also call Introduction to Networks. And Cisco Certified Network Associate 2, which is also called Routing and Switching Essentials. These courses lead to the CCNA certification that I mentioned earlier that we offer to our day school operations. Now, what's involved in those courses? The first course, Networking and Cybersecurity Essentials, I like to call that networking light. It's a great course for learning about networking, learning about cybersecurity, some of the terminology, some of the protocols, some of the models. So if you just want to learn a little bit about networking and about cybersecurity. The cool thing about this course is that it talks about devices that you would see in the student's home. So when they're talking about the big ideas, encryption for one, how to encrypt your data so it can't be stolen, they talk about it in terms of how do you set up your home router to do that. When they talk about some of the cybersecurity features, they talk about how to make sure your cell phone is safe and that people can't get into your information on your cell phone. Great course for students who want to just kind of dip their toe in the water and see what networking and cybersecurity is all about. The next 2 courses are kind of taken in conjunction, so the Introduction to Networking course as well as the Routing and Switching Essentials. The Introduction to Networking course essentially teaches them, as I mentioned earlier, how to build a network within a building. They learn about Cisco routers, they learn about Cisco switches, and how to set them up so that the data can travel across the network, as well as some basic security, how to configure passwords, how to configure just elementary things so that people, if bad people are trying to get into those devices, they have to do a little bit of work. The next course builds on that, the Routing and Switching Essentials course, and that's where they learn advanced processes. They learn security measures, they learn filtering measures, so some basic firewall rules, and kind of puts multiple networks together. The cool thing about all of these courses is that the focus of them is hands-on activities. So you can see here, just this course right here has 28 lab activities, which is all hands-on, 39 packet tracer activities, which are essentially a different version of the labs, a little bit more scripted versions of labs, a lot of interactive curriculum activities. And then these last thing, these syntax checkers, basically just areas for the students to practice. And all of these courses have these options for the students. So the focus is really hands-on, in-depth, getting into the machines, getting into the routers, the switches, and learning how to configure them and how they operate. So what do these courses look like? This curriculum is provided through Cisco systems. You have curriculum, we call them engineering journals, reading guides, opportunities for students to dive into the curriculum and really learn what's available to them. They have curriculum activities. These curriculum activities are fantastic reviews for the students. They're all drag and drop, and you can check to see your progress. And it's really a nice roundup to each section to see what the students have learned, but also to reinforce their learning. Here is an example of the syntax checker. In this area over here, the students would type different commands, and then as each command was typed in correctly, it would tell them it's correct and tell them what the next step is. The next operating system that we have, the next pathway that we have is what we call Linux operating systems. We have 3 different Linux courses that we have available to them: Linux Essentials, Linux Operating System 1, and Linux Operating System 2. And Linux Essentials is kind of like the Cybersecurity and Networking Essentials course. It's a class to introduce yourself to Linux if you want to learn a little bit about Linux, kind of dip your toe in the water. The interesting thing about this one, though, is that this course does prepare them for the Linux Essentials Professional Development Certificate exam. And it's all about acquiring the basic Linux knowledge. The next two courses, just like the two CCNA courses, the Linux Operating System 1 and the Linux Operating System 2, just like the CCNA courses, they operate in conjunction with each other. Here they dive into Linux operating system. They learn about the architectures, they install packages, they learn a lot about the command line and the file systems. Once again, this course and all of these Linux courses are heavily lab-based, and this course, along with the Linux Operating System 2, this course prepares them for either the Linux Server Professional Certification exam or the CompTIA Linux Plus exam. And both of those courses working together are a great opportunity for students to really dive into the Linux operating system and to learn the ins and outs of Linux servers. What does the curriculum look like? This is the Linux curriculum. The neat thing about this curriculum is that when the students log in, they have the subject of the lesson of the day right over here. But over here, they have a virtual machine. So anything that is talked about over here, either in the curriculum or in a lab, the students can practice over in this area right here. So there are no hardware requirements for students to have their own Linux machine. It's all provided to them. Now, why do we want to do this? And I think it's important that we talk about career opportunities that are available to students, not only in the state of Michigan, but also around the country. So this graphic right here is taken from a website called cyberseek.org. They track they track career opportunities in the cybersecurity field. And I feel I should mention also that cybersecurity employment, when we talk about cybersecurity employment, we use the term negative unemployment because there are more jobs than people out there. And the areas where there are more jobs than people are in the introductory areas. And these are what the courses that we're offering are introductory courses and introductory certifications where the jobs are available. So you can see here on this graphic, just in the state of Michigan, there are currently almost 7,000 jobs available. In the nation, there's over 300,000 jobs that are currently not filled. And as I said, most of those jobs are in the introductory field, in the introductory areas of cybersecurity. We're also going to start to see a huge wave of retirees in cybersecurity because a lot of the first generation of cybersecurity professionals are in their 50s and they're being close to retirement. So there are going to be immense career opportunities for students that want to go into the cybersecurity field, and the courses that we're currently offering are their entryway into cybersecurity. So a little bit more about career pathways here. So some jobs that are available to them. We mentioned we offer CCNA courses. So they could be a CCNA network engineer. They could be a network technician if they go the Linux route. They could go into being a Linux system administrator, a video coding researcher. And the good thing about these certifications is they lead to good jobs. We looked up on not only Cyberseek, but salary.com to look at the range of salaries, and you're talking a range of $50,000 to $92,000. The average salary for a cybersecurity professional is about $80,000. And so there are immense opportunities for not only entry level, but also for their potential growth opportunities are just unlimited for students and individuals to get into this area. So we're currently offering 6 courses with Michigan Virtual, but you saw in the courses that we currently offer to our Livingston County students more than what we showed you. And so to advance that partnership with Michigan Virtual, Cisco is actually bringing out a new CCNA certification course today. They're releasing their curriculum today. And so we currently offer the first 2 courses, but we want to round that out so that if students want to go beyond that CCENT certification to a full CCNA certification, we want to be able to offer that to them. We're also looking at the possibility of offering the cyber operations course, which is working in the Security Operations Center, and also the security course. And we're hoping to continue our partnership with Michigan Virtual to offer a lot of courses in the area of cybersecurity. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, turn it back over to Thomas, and he's going to talk to everyone about what it takes to enroll.
Well, thanks a lot, both Dr. Darga and Rich. You know, I also, you know, we've been monitoring the chat window, and if anybody has any questions, it might be a good opportunity to either type those in the chat window or raise your hand, and Nicole here will help us ask those questions to our 2 panelists from Pinckney Cyber Training Institute and the Pinckney Community Schools. Actually, it does look like somebody just asked a question here. What is the cost per course? Great question. So as I'm thinking in my head right now, $4.99. I'm so sorry, I didn't have that just off the top of my head. But each course can be offered in either a semester or a trimester pathway. It's the same content. So Rich, when he's working with trimester students, he's doing grading a little bit faster for students as they're returning more assignments as they have longer class periods within their school. And then for those that are on semester pathways, they will have an 18-week pathway, and so it's the same content with the same goals and objectives. Next question is, are there schools using physical staff to supplement instruction with this model? Actually, you know, I might have Rich help with that question. I will share that right before we got on this webinar, we're currently working in over 30 districts in Michigan, and both Dr. Darga and Rich and I are really proud of that work to go from a pilot that we did in Anchor Bay, or that they did in Anchor Bay, to then now expand it to schools that are in the UP and all throughout Michigan. And, you know, we're just waiting for our first out-of-state enrollment. I'm sure we'll see one eventually, you know, because we can support an enrollment out-of-state, but our primary focus is Michigan schools and Michigan students. Rich, do you have any schools that are using the content and working towards the curriculum goals, but then also doing some things in a lab setting? Have any of your online mentors or students mentioned that to you?
Nobody has mentioned it to me. I'm not aware of it, but I could see where this curriculum could be used in a CTE course, because I know when you have a CTE course, there are other things that you have to do related to employability. But I'm not aware that any of our current students are enrolled that way, but I could definitely see where this would be an excellent supplement, or it could be supplemented in a classroom with a large group in a CTE course.
And actually, that is what's happened at Anchor Bay High School. They had a certified CTE teacher in the classroom, and we provided support for the program. And because of that, they, you know, Anchor Bay did all the other necessary pieces to qualify as a CTE program. You know, having the leadership activities, doing the field trips, those kind of pieces, and then they qualified for the Section 61A funding to support the program and the classes.
Thanks. Thank you. Jeff, hopefully we helped to answer some of those questions. I'm going to move on, and again, please, you know, if you have additional questions, type those in the chat box. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to enroll students, and you know, first and foremost is really identifying those students that have interest in this field. My son, who's only 10, definitely has interest in working in this space, and I'm going to definitely encourage him after looking at the CyberSeek and salary ranges for students. I think that's exciting. The next part at that point is working with your students to both identify an online mentor at the school and working to have an agreement with that student about the expectations that they'll have working as an online instructor. So Michigan Virtual will manage the enrollment process, But at that point, then we connect you with, currently right now, it's Rich Lamb as the instructor for our courses that are delivered across the state. And I know Rich and Dr. Darga are working in planning to have additional growth as we expand beyond 30 schools throughout the state as in our current state right now, and having additional instructors. But then once that enrollment process happens, you'll pick your course length, and students will begin in courses. And we encourage schools to identify a space that students can work daily, and go to either a learning lab or a classroom where there's an adult supervision, encouraging students. That adult doesn't have to be a cybersecurity expert or certificated like Rich, because Rich holds the Michigan certificate and teacher PIC ID. And then lastly, monitor student work while they're going through that learning experience, and that's the part that the schools and the locals will provide those students. So, well, I do want to bring in a special guest that I have today, and in part of building out these courses, we worked with our curriculum team here, and we actually have a meeting set up for tomorrow to look at our catalog as we expand our partnership with the Pinckney Cyber Training Institute. So I'd like to introduce the special guest. He's been listening to our conversation, Mr. Chris Epsch. And Chris is our administrator of educational programs. And in short, Chris is responsible for identifying new courses, course development, reviewing course standards, and our overall curriculum for our student learning services. And Chris, welcome.
Thanks, Tomas. Quick, I guess, microphone check before I get started. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, and if possible, maybe just a little bit higher volume. So I'll pose a question for you, as we already have like a little bit here shared on the screen. But Chris, can you tell us about some additional courses that Michigan Virtual offers that can help prepare students for industry certifications in the field of information technology?
Yeah, thanks, Tomas. I just wanted to provide some context that Michigan Virtual has been on a journey over the last couple of years to try to identify some coherent programs of study or multiple course sequences that can prepare students for some specific career tracks. With the addition of the Pinckney Cyber Training Institute courses, we have now about 24 computer science elective courses in the catalog. And at the same time that we were working through the process of bringing Pinckney on board and getting their courses in the catalog, we were employing some subject matter experts to analyze those other elective courses as well and correlate them to the exam topics for a variety of different IT-related certification exams in order to identify which combination of courses we could offer our customers, our schools and students as an opportunity to prepare for certification exams similar to those that were mentioned by Rich and Dr. Darga. And so you have on the screen here 2 additional pathways we have identified as having strong support with the curriculum that we're offering. So the Java Foundations course is specific to computer programming using the Java programming language. And we have 4 courses that currently address that skill set and the concepts underlying it. 2-course sequence of Java programming covers the vast majority of the exam topics required on the certification exam administered by Oracle. That content is licensed from Cengage Learning and taught by certified computer science instructors certified in the state of Michigan, employed by Michigan Virtual. And then likewise, the AP Computer Science A courses with Java are licensed from another one of our partners, Florida Virtual School, and also taught by certified teachers employed by Michigan Virtual. And then in the far right column there, you're seeing the Certified Internet Web Professionals is an association that also recognizes and credentials certifications in a variety of areas. The Internet Business Associate track is one that's kind of broad-reaching with foundational skill sets related to working with both internet protocols and production. So the digital information technology courses deal with Microsoft applications and an introduction to web design. And then the 3-course sequence of foundations of programming and procedural programming introduce the concepts of programming in an object-oriented language, Python language specifically, and provide some skill sets that prepare students for those certifications. And those 9 courses make up some coherent pathways, but I also wanted to mention that we have a variety of others that may just appeal to students who want to study in a very particular curricular subject as an elective, not as a part of a pathway that we've focused on throughout the morning. But you can see here, actually we have a variety of additional electives in computer science for the high school audience, as well as, Tomas, I think if you click again there, you'll see we also offer a few for the middle school and college level as well. So we have web design and JavaScript focused primarily on designing content online, our AP Computer Science Principles coursework, and some work in Google and game animation. And then you can also earn college credit through St. Clair Community College through that dual enrollment course in CIS Concepts and Careers.
And Chris, I also noticed that in the last slide, we had 2 courses that mentioned advanced placement. So with that course, at the conclusion, not only can they work to take their certification, they can also sit on the College Board exam. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, excellent. So earning both college credit as well as a certification into industry. And I want to go back to a question that I had earlier, and I apologize for not just having the pricing off the top of my head. I grabbed a price that just off the top of my head that was incorrect. It's $525 for the Pinckney Cyber Training Institute courses. So I apologize for saying that wrong number. Our courses that we're demonstrating here right now, those courses, and I'll also share out a link that you can find some more information, are $325 to schools per semester or trimester course. Advanced placements are $399. But obviously with our specialized certifications that the instructor Rich Lamb has and the partnership we have with them, those courses come at a little bit of a higher price. So thank you, Chris, for sharing some of those other elective options as well as pathways. And for schools that are interested in getting started, I want to share this customer care line that you can reach out to us directly, as well as I'll show my information at the end of this presentation. And they can help you set up the proper credentials to enroll students into courses with Michigan Virtual. As well as I mentioned at the start of our webinar that we have a variety of free resources that are provided by the Michigan Virtual Learning Research Institute. And these resources help you establish a successful learning lab or communicate with parents and students about the expectations as well as requirements to provide a good learning experience for all online students. So, through practice as well as research, we've developed these guides that can help a variety of people in the work that they do to support students taking online classes. So with that, I want to pause for a couple seconds, and you can either do that in type or in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and we can unmute that speaking capabilities for you to ask any questions for either Chris Epsch, Dr. Darga, or Rich Lamb from Pinckney Cyber Training Institute, or myself. Well, as we mentioned, this session was recorded, so we're going to be sending out a copy of this recording so that you can share it with your colleagues or other people who are interested in learning more about the various electives and cybersecurity courses that are offered both in partnership through Pinckney Cyber Training Institute or directly from Michigan Virtual. And this is my contact information, and I appreciate you joining us this morning to discuss this great topic And and as I mentioned, I'm going to be encouraging my son to look into this field. Hopefully, all that work that he spends playing on the various video games that he's on my phone with will pay off in the end. So I appreciate you joining us today, and we'll talk to you next time on our next webinar. Thank you very much.